What's up guys, Itchy here. Today I will be preparing you guys for the Elder Grah fight. So I've been getting a lot of questions, people wanting to know exactly what they should do and what they're in store for, so I thought I'd go over a few things for you guys so that you could prepare yourselves the best possible. If you are in a position to take them on, then this should actually help you out a decent amount. So, first of all, I'll be going over my individual strategy, and I'll be going over some of the squads that I'm going to be using, as well as the units and why I'm using them. As you can see here, we have mostly a mono fire team, except for Zalban's thrown in there, and I will explain why he's there. But first, I'll go through each unit individually so you understand why I'm using them. Here you can see I have a Saria leader, and the reason why I have her is you can see her leader skill is a 20% boost to attack and defense power of all units. So I will be using her as well as another Saria leader as a friend, and the reason I'm doing this is so I can get a nice decent 40% attack and 40% defense. So I will be needing that 40% defense against him because he does a lot of damage. And that brings me to why I'm also using Zalban. I'm using Zalban because he gives a defensive boost, and that will be needed, and also he also has decent stats. He's got a 1500 defense, which is pretty much the minimum of what you're looking for, but he has nice recovery too, so I'll be able to heal him up very nicely and won't have to do much about it. Also, you can see his cost is pretty low. He's got a 13 cost instead of the 15 that you usually see out of a 5-star, so that helps a lot. So even though he doesn't have the exact right element, he's still a huge help because he's going to be able to cast that defensive boost for me. Then we'll move on to Vargas here. As you can see, I have a Holy Flame Vargas. I will be using his Super Brave Burst to give me an attack boost. That is pretty much the only reason he's there, other than the fact that his stats aren't terrible. I will be relying on him for that matter, but I pretty much just don't have a better unit to use in his place. But I think it should work out just fine. I think he's going to be able to keep up because his damage is still decent. And so that's basically why I'm using him. And as you can see, I have Kayena here. She's there to help out with Spark. I don't have a lot of high hit count units, so I'm hoping to throw her in the middle so I can kind of get everybody together and get some decent Spark in there. Plus her stats are pretty decent. I don't have any spheres on anybody right now, so these are the raw stats of these units. So as you can see here, she's level 68, but she will be higher soon. She will be maxed out soon. And I will have her looking pretty decent, especially since her defense is not terrible. She's got pretty even stats, so she will be usable. And Lancia to round out the team. And the reason why I'm using Lancia is because I will need that attack boost. When I don't have that Super Brave Burst from Vargas, I'll be worrying about what Lancia is doing. I'm going to make sure that I'm using hers to the greatest advantage. And obviously you want to guard with your healer on every single turn because you don't want to take any chances with that. And also she's got a very high recovery, so she'll be healing herself up very nicely. So that pretty much does it for this squad. So we'll move over here a little bit. Oh, went too far. So here we have the Dark Squad. Now this is going to be the second squad. I call this the 40% squad, and I'll get into that later. But as you can see here, I have all dark units, and the only reason I have this squad is because it's the only other one that I have raised up that's actually able to take him on. The cost isn't extreme or anything like that. As you can see, Eltree's cost is only 12, and the same goes for Alice. The only reason I'm using Alice is because I don't have a third Kukuri. If you have a third, obviously I would highly recommend that. And the reason why I'm using Magris as a leader is because he does give that extra damage and extra defensive boost. And especially his Super Brave Burst should help out a lot. And I'm going to be putting a Refined Gem on Eltree, and the reason being is because I do not want him getting paralyzed. I don't want anything happening to him. And he's going to be guarding every turn, and I'm going to rely on him to get rid of the status ailments. So that is basically that team in a nutshell. And then this isn't an actual team, this is just some recommended units. As you can see here, I have Leviathan. It is not leveled up, it is nowhere near where it needs to be, but obviously the one that you would be using here would be Malnapolis. Unless the 6-star beasts come out by then you will be using his 6-star form. And the reason being is because you're going to want to be able to get your healer to get that healing as fast as possible, so you're going to want to make sure that he can get his Brave Burst and that everyone can get their Brave Burst as soon as possible. And with the 6-star, his leader skill gives a 1.5% boost to Battle Crystals, so you're going to want to use him as one of your leaders. So then also you can see here Elmo pretty much self-explanatory, defensive boost, a water unit, maybe you're going to go with a water squad if you are going to be using the 6-star Malnapolis. And so that's definitely a unit that's going to be highly used. The twins, also pretty much self-explanatory. Elder Grah causes a lot of status ailments, so you're going to want to make sure that you have the twins with you because they will cancel out all those status ailments. And I'm pretty sure the new units will be coming out soon, and there is a water unit that also has the similar leader skill, so you're going to want to look for her too, because that will pretty much save a lot of time. Now, the reason I'm not going along with that is because I wanted to try something different. I wanted to see if I was able to basically get around that, and that would be basically using other units other than having to rely on one unit to take up a leader skill to get rid of the status ailments. I have Lauren down here as an example. Basically, you want any unit that's going to have a powerful single Brave Burst. I also don't have any going like that, but that's just because I'm trying different strategy, as I said before. But that is definitely something that would be highly recommended if you wanted to throw a few different ones in there, Idia and whatnot. That's very recommended because you want to be able to do as much damage as possible, as easily as possible. So that makes him very usable in that case. And as you can also see here, we have the Miracle Totem. Now, this looks a little strange when you think about it. The Miracle Totem doesn't make a whole lot of sense because if you think about it, it's not that great. It's attack 1000, defense 1000, HP's nice, but that's about it. Well, it just so happens that the cost is 1, and in this fight you will not have a high cost, so you're going to have to rely on units that are not going to be the highest of cost, and by the time you get to that third squad, it's going to look like a bunch of scrubs. So that makes the Miracle Totem a viable option. It's somebody that you can throw in there for 1 cost so that you can use much higher cost units in your other squads. And hopefully you won't have to actually use your 3rd squad anyway. Hopefully you'll be able to take care of business with the 1st and 2nd squad, but we'll get to that in a minute as well. So anyway, that does it for the squad setups. Now we'll go in here and I'm going to show you an example, basically just in Adventurous Prairie, so you can get an idea of what you're in store for here. And that's just because I'm going to be narrating while I go over some of the areas that you're going to have to look out for here. So if I go into here at Start of Adventure, bring my buddy Arimidex along with me. Here you can see my item setup. I'll get to that in a second as well. But one of the main things I wanted to go over here is that he has a very specific strategy that you need to follow if you want to survive against him. So the first thing you're going to want to do, and this is very, very important, you're going to want to make sure that you're guarding on first turn with all units. So on first turn, make sure that you guard. Very, very, very important because he uses an attack that will take you out if you're not ready for it. And you're going to be kicking and screaming because that is an attack that's going to take out every single unit and you just spent 50 energy for nothing. So make sure you're guarding first turn because that will save you. And while you're attacking him from then on, you're going to make sure that you're going to be ready for the fact that you're going to be seeing him cause weakness and injury, along with other things as well. He's going to be giving you tons and tons and tons of status ailments. So it's going to be very, very annoying getting through that first part. I think that weakness and injury are the only ones that he uses in the beginning, but still something to watch out for. He will also be using every single element at his disposal. That means he's going to be using all the elements, so no team is necessarily safe. And he does change from light to dark at about 80% health. And he also will cast Recovery on himself, much like how Phoenix casts Recovery. It's going to work in the same amount. It does about it gives him about 8 to 10,000 health back, so that's something you're going to have to keep up with. Now, his second big attack. It's very hard to tell when these attacks are because there's no exact point where it's at, or it's very hard to pinpoint. But I'll tell you the first one, I'll probably note this off with an annotation as well. It's going to be right about where the top right unit's picture starts from the health bar, that is. So between where it says Earthly and the actual picture of the twins themselves, that's about where the health bar will need to be for you to have to guard, and that's going to be very hard to get to. I highly suggest when you get close to that area to guard with everyone but one unit, your highest defensive unit, and make sure that they cast their Brave Burst so that you can do as much damage to get past that point. Now you may lose that unit in the process, but that's just part of it. You're just going to have to deal with that. That's how it is. And yeah, so that basically does it for that part. So another part you're going to have to worry about when he gets to his third big attack, that's going to be at about 40% health. That's much harder to pinpoint. I'm going to say it's close to where that Y is in Bernie. It's around there, and it's very hard to pinpoint, so you're not going to be able to get that very well. You may lose your first squad just getting to that point, but even so, your first squad's going to go down very close after that anyway. Why is that? Because after his third attack, he will double his attack power, he will cancel all the buffs that all of your units are using, and he will start causing paralysis. And if you are not running anybody like the twins to help you out with that, you are going to have a very bad time. I will tell you that now. So your first squad may not make it the full way through, and by all means, they probably won't. So just be ready for that. And also, I'll go over my items real quick here. I have 10 cures here, and that's because I'm hoping to rely on my healer for the first part of the fight. And I have Fusion Potions so that my healer can get their Brave Burst right away. I'm hoping to use 1 per squad. So Lancia, I'm hoping to use her to heal the first bout of damage. If not, I will use a Divine Light. I want to see how the damage is before I actually decide which one I want to use. Using the Fusion Potion might be nice because I'll get the offensive bonus as well from Lancia. And as you can see here, I have Fire Seals for the first team and Dark Seals for the second team. I'm hoping that actually helps me make it through, especially since I have some somewhat tanky units. So then the last thing you need to know about as far as the Grah fight's concerned, when he gets to about 5% health, you need to be careful because he will be using a final attack when you actually get him down to 1% health or under. He's going to either look like he has a tiny bit of health or no health left, and he will be using an attack that causes 9,999 damage. He will kill you. It will be over. You will think you won and you won't. And that is the most frustrating thing in the world, so make sure you're prepared for that by at least guarding with 1 unit and attacking with the rest. But after that 1 unit guards, he will not attack for the rest of the fight. So once he uses his final huge attack, you will be fine. So just be aware of that and be ready for it. So that pretty much does it for the Grah fight. I hope that you guys will be okay, and I hope that everything I've been able to tell you here will help you get an idea of what units you want to get together to be able to take him on. So I will be leaving a link down in the description so that you can see some more strategy. It is a link that will basically go over everything I just said in even more and give you some ideas of some other units to use as well. And I will also be linking my Facebook page if you have any questions or you need to contact me directly or you want to know if your squad is good enough to take him on. Make sure that you come and like the Facebook page and come and start a conversation with me. So that pretty much does it, guys. I hope you guys do well in this fight and I hope this was helpful to you. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Take it easy.